My girlfriend said I was killing her dream. My father said I was abandoning the family. At some point, I realized everyone wanted me to prove my loyalty by giving up my own life. I'm 28. My girlfriend Lena is 29. We had been together for 4 years. For most of that time, I thought we were building the same future. A small house someday. A couple of trips each year. Maybe kids later if we felt ready. Enough money saved that an emergency would not destroy us. Nothing extravagant. Just stable. That was the word I kept coming back to. Stable. Lena hated her job. She worked in marketing for a chain of dental clinics, and every few months she would say it was draining the life out of her. I believed her. I wanted her to find something better. The problem was that something better kept changing. One month she wanted to open a ceramics studio, then a small event space, then a plant shop, then a bookshop with evening readings and wine nights. The last one stuck. At first, I thought it was just an idea. Then she started sending me storefront listings. Then she made a logo. Then she started talking about quitting her job before she even had a business plan. I asked basic questions. Rent, inventory, licensing, loans, suppliers, insurance. How many books would she need to sell just to break even? She got quiet each time. Then she said I was being negative. I said, I'm not against your dream. I'm asking how it works. She said, you always need everything to be safe. I said, because unsafe plans still send real bills. She said, you sound like you don't believe in me. That was the first time I realized the conversation was already rigged. If I agreed, I was supportive. If I asked questions, I was cruel. The part she left out was that she expected me to be involved. Not just emotionally, actually involved. She wanted me to help with renovations, work the register on weekends, handle spreadsheets, build the website, cover more of the shared bills while she got started. I told her I did not want a second job. She said, that is what partners do. I said, partners talk before one person volunteers the other. That fight lasted 3 days. She said she had supported me when I was finishing my certification. I reminded her that my certification took 6 months, cost less than $2,000, and increased my income. She said I was making everything transactional. I said, no, I'm saying risk should be shared only when both people choose it. She cried. Then I apologized. I always seemed to apologize when I had not actually changed my mind. Around the same time, my father started pushing again about my grandparents. My mother died when I was 5. For 2 years after that, I lived mostly with her parents. My dad was grieving, drinking too much, working too much, and barely functioning. I don't say that to attack him. It is just true. My grandparents were the reason I had clean clothes, lunches packed, bedtime stories, and someone at school events. They were my link to my mother. When my dad remarried, everything changed. His new wife had a daughter. Then they had 2 more kids together. Suddenly, my father wanted one big blended family, and he expected my grandparents to treat everyone the same. They did not. They were kind when they saw the other kids, but they were my grandparents, not theirs. They took me on weekends, bought me birthday gifts, told me stories about my mom, kept pictures of her around the house. My father hated it. He said they were creating division. I said, they are my mother's parents. He said, they should care about the whole family. I said, they raised me when you could not. That was the sentence he never forgave. The tension got worse as I got older. My half-siblings saw me leave for weekends and come back with gifts or stories. They were jealous. I understood that. But nobody ever seemed to understand what those weekends meant to me. They were the only place where my mother was not treated like an uncomfortable subject. At my father's house, talking about her made people stiff. At my grandparents' house, she was alive in stories. When I moved out at 20, I stayed close to my grandparents. My father saw that as a betrayal. He would ask, how can you be close to people who excluded your siblings? I would say, they did not exclude my siblings. They kept a relationship with me. He said that was the same thing. It was not. For a while, I managed both worlds. Lena, my job, my grandparents, my father's anger. It was exhausting, but familiar. Then everything collided. Lena found a small retail space near downtown. Old brick, big windows, high rent. Exactly the kind of place that looks romantic in pictures and terrifying in a spreadsheet. She wanted me to see it with her. I went. I will admit, it looked beautiful. I could picture the shelves, the chairs, the little coffee counter she wanted, the events she imagined. For about 10 minutes, I understood why she wanted it. Then the landlord mentioned the deposit, 3 months' rent up front, plus build-out costs, plus a personal guarantee. My stomach tightened immediately. In the car afterward, Lena was glowing. She said, "This is it." I said, "It is too expensive." Her face changed. I said, "We need to slow down and build an actual plan." She said, "I knew you would do this." I said, "Do what?" She said, "Make me feel stupid for wanting something." I said, "I'm trying to stop us from signing something we can't survive." Then she said, "Your grandparents could help if they wanted to." I went still. I asked, "What?" She said she knew they had money saved. She said they supported me all the time. She said if they believed in me, they might invest. I said, "This is not their dream." She said, "They're basically your parents." That was when I knew she had been thinking about this longer than she admitted. I told her no, not maybe. No. She said, "So you won't even ask?" I said, "I am not asking my grandparents to fund your bookstore." She said, "Our bookstore." I said, "I never agreed to that." That night she barely spoke to me. The next day my father called. Apparently Lena had spoken to him. I still do not know exactly what she said, but he opened with, "I hear you are letting those people influence your future again." Those people? My grandparents. I said, "This has nothing to do with them." He said, "It always does with you." Then he said Lena was trying to build something with me and I was being selfish. I asked why he was involved. He said, "Because you need to grow up and stop running to your mother's side of the family every time life gets hard." I said, "I did not run to them. Lena wanted their money." There was silence. Then he said, "Well, maybe they owe you something after all the damage they caused." That was the second time something clicked. Lena saw my grandparents as funding. My father saw them as enemies. Nobody seemed to see them as people who had already done more for me than anyone had a right to ask. The real turning point came 3 days later. Lena invited me to dinner with her friend Mara and Mara's husband. I thought it was just dinner. It was not. Halfway through, Mara started talking about how some people cannot handle ambitious women. Then her husband said, "If my wife had a dream, I'd go all in." Lena looked at me like she had arranged a witness. I put my fork down. I said, "Are we having dinner or am I on trial?" Lena said, "Nobody is attacking you." I said, "You brought people here to tell me I'm wrong." Mara said, "Maybe you need to hear it from someone else." I said, "No, maybe Lena needs to hear that no is still no, even when she recruits an audience." The table went quiet. Lena looked humiliated. I felt bad for about 5 seconds. Then I remembered she had dragged our private relationship into public because I would not risk my savings and my grandparents' security on her idea. When we got home, we had the worst fight of our relationship. She said I embarrassed her. I said she set me up. She said I was choosing fear. I said, "I am choosing not to sign my life over to a business I do not want." She said, "If you loved me, you would believe in me." I said, "If you loved me, you would stop turning my boundaries into proof that I don't." She cried. Then she said maybe we wanted different futures. For the first time, I did not argue. I said, "Maybe we do." That scared both of us. The next morning, my father texted me. He said he was disappointed in the man I had become. He said a good partner supports dreams. He said a good son does not keep choosing people who rejected his family. I read that message 3 times. Then I deleted it, not because it did not hurt, because it hurt too much to keep rereading. Update 1. Lena and I are taking space. She is staying with her sister for a while. She says she needs to decide whether she can be with someone who does not believe in her. I told her I need to decide whether I can be with someone who thinks support means obedience. Update 2. I told my grandparents what happened. Not every detail, just enough. My grandmother listened quietly. Then she said, "You do not owe anyone the life we helped you survive to have." I had to leave the room for a minute after that. Update 3. My father has not apologized. He probably will not. He texted once, asking if I was still letting outsiders guide my choices. I did not respond. The funny thing is, the only people who have not pressured me are the ones he calls outsiders. I still love Lena. That is the hard part. I do not think she is evil. I think she is desperate to escape a life she hates. But desperation does not give her the right to draft me into a future I never chose. I can love someone without funding their dream, working their dream, and sacrificing my own stability for their dream. And I can love my family without letting my father decide which parts of my family count. Maybe people will say I should have supported her. Maybe they will say I should have asked my grandparents. Maybe they will say I am too cautious. But I keep coming back to one question. If someone needs you to ignore your own boundaries before they feel supported, are they really asking for support? Or are they asking for control?